and a McNugget knob too. And he has another little button to lock the door when he hears Elon coming. Elon Musk reportedly badgered Trump into giving him an office in the West Wing. It's kind of a tough situation for Trump because on the one hand, you know he can't stand this guy. On the other hand, he needs his money. It's what they call him. Had limited time. His speech was interrupting the season finale of Survivor, so he went a mile a minute. He was shouting, he was racing through the script. It was 18 straight minutes of him yelling. It's like the whole country got to experience what it was like to be Eric in the 8th grade.
It's really not looking good for Donald. He's deteriorating before our eyes. During that disaster meeting he had with Zelensky yesterday, not only was Donald Trump looking cognitively addled, not only was this entire thing a mess, but it looked like both of his hands now had that same rot. Both of his hands looked like they were discolored, and he was trying to hide both of them, but he couldn't hide both of his hands.
Jimmy Kimmel has been destroying Donald Trump and Melania Trump on live television for years. And the most recent revelations about their past make it crystal clear why Trump is so desperate to silence him. While mainstream media handles Trump with kid gloves, Kimmel has exposed everything from Trump's documented Epstein connections to the loveless marriage between Donald and Melania, and Trump absolutely hates it. The December 2024 release of nearly 30,000 pages of Epstein files revealed Trump—
I'm gonna test ABC out on this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. A true bunch of losers. Only Donald Trump would try to prove he wasn't threatening ABC by threatening ABC. And you almost have to feel sorry for the people who work for him, who try to— The House will vote, and we'll see how that goes. Turns out all Trump had to do was threaten to starve poor people, and he got his way. I'm sure he'll never do it again, though. Speaker Mike Johnson praised the bill, which is kind of all you need to know. He said he's glad Democrats are finally ready to do what the American people have been asking them to do for weeks. Great, and then maybe you'll finally be ready to do what the American people have been asking you to do for months.
We know that his right hand had been seriously discolored. They've been putting a lot of makeup on it. It went from looking almost like this bluish, kind of purplish color to they just slap makeup over it right now. And then you now have the left one looking discolored as well. And a lot of people are speculating. And again, I'm just expressing to you my—
flew on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet at least 8 times in the 1990s, more than previously reported. Court documents describe a 1994 incident at Mar-a-Lago where Epstein introduced a 14-year-old girl to Trump, elbowed him playfully and asked, "This is a good one, right?" Trump smiled, nodded, and both men chuckled while the girl felt uncomfortable. And Kimmel has been absolutely relentless in exposing these connections. But here's what makes this story even more explosive: Melania Trump's own mysterious past.
Democrats, all his friends are Democrats, including this one. That right there, yeah. That's when he was a Democrat. Look at all the smiles. This photo is everything you need to know about Donald Trump in one shot. There's no evidence, by the way, that Bill Clinton has ever been to Epstein Island. Every one of Jeffrey Epstein's emails, or even one, says Clinton was never, ever there, never. And there's no evidence Trump was on the island either, but the emails between Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell very clearly say Trump spent hours with one of Epstein's victims. He used to sign on to a bill that would force millions of Americans off their health care and make it much more expensive for those who can't afford health care. So Democrats drew a line in the sand. They said, we are not going over this. And today, after 41 days, they pulled out a shovel and a bucket and they ate all that sand and got nothing for it. Isn't that great? You know what they got? They got a promise from Republicans in the Senate to hold a vote on healthcare sometime in the future. And if there's one—
opinion speech as protected by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, but could it be that he was getting IV infusions of some sort in the right hand and that vein no longer is good, so they're now going into the left hand to try to find a vein after they were previously going into the arm, for example. And so lots of people are taking a look at this, and you look at what the account Derek Guy posted right here. You zoom in, he zoomed in right here, and this is from yesterday. There seems to be a small hole at the site of the discoloration.
the allegations that surfaced during the 2016 campaign, and how Kimmel regularly roasts the clearly dysfunctional relationship between Donald and Melania. Subscribe to USA Press and turn on notifications because we're exposing the accountability journalism that mainstream media refuses to cover. Let's start with Jimmy Kimmel's recent destruction of Trump over the Epstein files, because this is what triggered Trump's latest meltdown demanding ABC get the bum off the air. In November 2025, when Congress voted to pass the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
But while his delivery was erratic, his message was insane.
1 year ago, our country was dead. We were absolutely dead. Our country was ready to fail. Totally failed. Now, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Maybe we'll get lucky and in a few years he'll leave us for a younger, hotter country somewhere in the world.
You see that small hole right there? It's actually pretty apparent. This on the other hand right now, and there's probably holes on the other hand that was discolored as well. And this would seem to suggest those who are having that opinion that are there IV infusions, are there IVs going in, it at least lends some additional data points for those who express that opinion, right? And everybody's entitled to their own opinions right here. Like Congresswoman Calmager-Dove, and her opinion that she expressed is the following, and she just put this out there. And again, opinion, speculation, everybody's entitled to that right under the First Amendment, so I'll make that clear. Here's what she said. She goes, "The Alzheimer's drug Leqembi is administered through an infusion."
Kimmel opened his monologue by telling America to brace for Hurricane Epstein. We are now one step closer to answering the question, what did the president know? And how old were these women when he knew it? Kimmel said, riffing off the famous Watergate question about Nixon. The audience laughed nervously. It was a devastating line that cut straight to the heart of Trump's Epstein problem. Kimmel continued, Congress went 427-1. It was such a landslide, Trump might actually be able to rebury the Epstein files under it. Then he mocked Trump's reluctance to sign the bill. Usually when Trump gets a bill, he declares bankruptcy and doesn't pay it. But this one,
following a Monday night of football from fabulous Las Vegas, where the odds that Donald Trump will finish his term as president have dipped in light of a Republican revolt over the president's BF Jeffrey Epstein. Did you hear about this? The House could vote as soon as tomorrow on whether to release the Epstein files, and that vote going on. He posted up a storm on Truth Social this week, and he covered a range of topics from Biden and his auto pen to photos of his new ballroom. He bragged about getting the key to the city of Miami. He raged about the price of beef. He plugged his son Eric's book. He bashed Nancy Pelosi. He complained about voter ID. And we learned he's trying to get...
For example, through the hand, it can cause swelling, bleeding, or fluid leakage in the brain, requiring regular MRIs. And we know that Donald Trump's excuse about getting an abdominal preventative MRI is BS. There's no such thing as preventative abdominal MRIs. To the extent you were going to get a preventative MRI, it would be full.
He's going to have to sign. Or at least he says he's going to sign it, which means there's about maybe a 12% chance he will. Trump watched that monologue and completely lost it. At 12:49 a.m., Trump posted on Truth Social, "Why does ABC fake news keep Jimmy Kimmel, a man with no talent and very poor television ratings, on the air? Why do the TV syndicates put up with it? Also, totally biased coverage. Get the bum off the air." This came just days after Trump had called a Bloomberg reporter quiet piggy on Air Force One when she asked about Epstein. Kimmel destroyed Trump for that too.
Is likely to pass bigly. At least 50 Republicans are expected to break ranks, which has forced Trump to now claim he's for the files being released. After almost a year of saying he didn't want to release, after a year of stalling, hedging, browbeating members of his own party last night, all of a sudden Trump reversed course completely. He wrote, "As I said on Friday night to the fake news media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide." We have nothing to hide. I have some bad news. There's no we. It's just you, bro.
it would be of the brain as well. And the fact that the Trump regime is covering up the MRIs, the way they're covering up the Epstein files, the way they're covering up the killing of the survivors of the boat strike after engaging in the other crimes against humanity, I mean, tells you a lot. I did a deep dive into this, and so here's the hand of a Leqembi patient right here. This is how it would be administered, Leqembi, this Alzheimer's drug. Here's another image of the individual getting the Leqembi administered. There's a photo of Donald Trump's hand right there. I want to share this with you as well, because I was doing some deep dives into Leqembi. Take a look right here, Alzheimer's treatments. There's
Trump is not a happy little meal right now. Every time he gets asked about Jeffrey Epstein, he loses his mind. He called her Piggy. He said quiet piggy to a reporter, and it barely made the news. If a man spoke like that to a female co-worker in a workplace harassment training video, you'd go, that's over the top. Nobody would do that. If the pilot on Air Force One behaved like the president, he wouldn't be allowed to fly the plane. Kimmel also went after ABC correspondent Mary Bruce, who Trump called a terrible reporter for asking about Epstein.
About the Epstein files. There were no answers about the Epstein files. Bondi answered none of them. You know, the author Michael Wolff, who has interviewed Trump repeatedly, says he's seen about a dozen photographs of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein with topless women. Trump's BF Jeff kept them in his safe and showed them to this guy. So this morning, Rhode Island Senator Sheldon Whitehouse asked Bondi if the FBI found those photos.
There's been public reporting that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young.
Then he was asked about this nonsensical idea of running for an unprecedented and unconstitutional third term.
Can you set the record straight? You're not going to try and run for a third term?
Well, I don't even think about it. I will tell you, a lot of people want me to run. One thing I can tell you, the 2020 election was rigged. And a lot of people say, when it's rigged, you're allowed to do it again.
No one's...
Leqembi, Leqembi. Then there's Kisunla, Kisunla. And the way these Alzheimer treatments work is they're supposed to remove the amyloid plaques in the brain, which is identified as some of the triggers of Alzheimer's. We know that Donald Trump's father, Fred, suffered from Alzheimer's and eventually died. It came on rapidly and it progressed. And one of the things that they did with Fred is this has been reported before, Donald Trump's dad, is they tried to create environments that made him feel like he was working.
When Trump threatened to have the FCC revoke ABC's broadcast license, Kimmel shot back, "I don't know. The last time your FCC guy looked at that didn't go so great for you," referencing how Kimmel's return from suspension in September 2025 earned record-breaking 6.3 million viewers. But Kimmel's most savage moment came when discussing Marjorie Taylor Greene's request for Trump to meet with Epstein victims. "I'm sure he'll get back to you on that very, very soon," Kimmel said sarcastically. Then he delivered the punchline. Is she that out of it that she thinks he would want to meet these women in the Oval Office?
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
But in fact, they would just create almost like a fake office setting for him. Let me just share this with you. This was from a recent Fox 5 report on the Alzheimer's treatment. Leqembi, here's how somebody was getting the medication administered. And it stood out to me. Here, play this clip.
Davis's story of how she ended up in this Emory video, one of the first patients at Emory University Hospital in Atlanta to receive an infusion of the recently FDA-approved Alzheimer's drug Leqembi, begins last summer back home in Pensacola, Florida, with a pretty brutal diagnosis from a local neurologist Davis went to see.
Sure, send them in. I'd love to say hello. I haven't seen them since they were teenagers. The audience started with laughs, but ended with, whoa. That's how brutal the line was. Because Kimmel wasn't just making jokes, he was connecting documented evidence to Trump's current behavior and exposing the truth that mainstream media won't touch. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our coverage of every Trump scandal the corporate media buries. Now let's talk about what Kimmel has exposed regarding Trump's actual Epstein connections, because this is where the dark past gets really disturbing.
Hi, why even have the vote? Why not just have the Department of Justice release the files now? After 10 months of fighting tooth and nail, doing everything he could to keep those files secret, he's now asking for a full release, which is what got all these guys in trouble in the first place. So his plan now is hurry up and release the files so I can start saying they're fake. Last week, he tried a last-minute arm twist to get Republicans like Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace to back off this Epstein stuff. Lauren Boebert was even summoned to the Situation Room to be worked over by Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. They tried to persuade her to remove her signature from the petition demanding the files be made public, which is exactly what someone who's totally innocent and has nothing to hide would do.
Experiencing some memory problems.
The brain scan or whatever they did at West Florida Hospital, they gave that to the doctor and he told me to get your affairs in order.
So that's Leqembi. I'll show you Kinsula right now, or Kisnula. Here, play this clip. Yeah, Kisunla, sorry. Here, play this clip right here.
Living with Alzheimer's disease.
I start going open my refrigerator, and when I open the door, I say, what am I here for?
Forgetting things every few minutes.
It's hard, very hard.
That's day-to-day life, but it all may change now with Kisunla. This drug getting FDA approval. Dr. W. Jamie Plant is a neurologist here.
It's a medication that is delivered once a month, targets the amyloid plaque in patients that have Alzheimer's disease.
Kimmel connects the dots that others won't. When Trump called a reporter quiet piggy for asking about Epstein, Kimmel made it national news. When Trump tried to bury the Epstein files, Kimmel told America to brace for Hurricane Epstein. When Trump and Melania appear together looking miserable, Kimmel names the obvious dysfunction everyone can see. Trump's desperation to silence Kimmel isn't about ratings or talent. It's about accountability. Kimmel has 6.3 million viewers eager to hear the truth about Trump's Epstein connections, about Melania's mysterious past.
Boebert Mace did not give in to the pressure campaign, so now Trump's ordered his attorney general to investigate Democrat ties to Jeffrey Epstein, which is like Diddy ordering an investigation into why there were so many bottles of baby oil in his house.
We have nothing to do with Epstein, the Democrats do. All of his friends were Democrats. Bill Clinton, they went to his island all the time, and many others, they're all Democrats.
That's right, all his friends were.
And here is, let's just hear from some of the Trump family members. Here's what Donald Trump's nephew, Fred Trump, had to say about him, and Fred Trump recognizing that Trump's father, Fred Trump, had these issues. Here's what Fred Trump had to say recently. Here, play this clip.
I know what I saw in my grandfather. I know what I saw in Donald's older sister, my Aunt Marianne, who in the end, thank you for saying, I am not a doctor. I don't pretend to. I know the warning signs from both of my grandfathers, what it is.
Transactional arrangements. The Epstein files prove Trump lied about never being on the plane. They prove he flew with Ghislaine Maxwell multiple times. They prove he was at Epstein's properties during the period when Epstein was trafficking girls. They prove he smiled and nodded when Epstein showed him a 14-year-old and asked, "This is a good one, right?" Trump claimed he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago for being a creep, yet Virginia Giuffre was recruited at Mar-a-Lago. Trump claimed he barely knew Epstein, yet he inscribed a book, "You Are the Greatest," to him.
Who is now deceased, but don't let that distract you from the Donald Trump version of this story.
Mr. President, what did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails when he said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago. It's really, what did he mean when he spent all the time with Bill Clinton?
That's right. Bill Clinton should immediately resign as president of the United States. One of the emails, the one that got the most attention this weekend, referred to Trump, quote, blowing a person named Bubba.
Donald's cousin, John Walters, had dementia. It runs in the family. I'm not happy about it because guess what? I worry about it myself. You know, when it, where's my glasses? Oh, on the top of my head now. I don't know, that may be Alzheimer's, but
right.
It runs in the family. He looks older, and I get it. I mean, I'm not saying anybody who...
Trump claimed he was never on the plane, yet flight logs show at least 8 trips, some with only him and Epstein as passengers. Kimmel won't let these contradictions disappear down the memory hole. When Trump says the Epstein files are a waste of time, Kimmel shows footage of Trump signing executive orders about paper straws and claiming no one knows what magnets are. When Trump says investigations are a hoax, Kimmel shows the documented evidence from federal prosecutors. This is accountability journalism that makes Trump's authoritarian instincts kick in. He can't handle being mocked. He can't handle having his documented connections to a convicted sex trafficker exposed.